Thanks for staying with us here on Capitol Tonight. I'm Ruben Jones coming to you tonight from our Washington, D.C. studio. Damage to transportation and roads, both big and small, cutting off areas of western North Carolina from Helene have been a major hurdle in response and recovery efforts so far. And those efforts are making progress with I-40 reopening in and out of Asheville yesterday, but still a lot of work left to be done. And for more on this, we are joined by U.S. Secretary of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who joins us. Secretary, thank you for making time. I just want to start. You have been talking with the president, I know, frequently about what is going on in western North Carolina. How do you assess the state of the roads from what you're seeing?
Well, the damage has been extreme. I had a briefing yesterday at FEMA's National Response Center, got updates from all of the impacted states, including North Carolina. And I have to say, at least in my time in this job, we've seen a lot of disasters, a lot of shocking things, but nothing like this. Now, there has been extraordinary work done to help get things closer to normal, especially for those communities, mountain communities, rural communities that don't have a lot of alternatives. Sometimes if you lose a bridge in those areas, the nearest bridge might be half an hour away or more. Yesterday morning, more than 100 miles of interstate were closed. I'm pleased to see that as of today, it's about half that. So the Tennessee and North Carolina DOTs have been doing phenomenal work to quickly get as close to possible as normal. But there's just no question that we're looking at a massive impact, and it's going to take a lot of resources and a lot of time to get things back to normal.
Secretary, I spoke with Governor Roy Cooper just a little while ago, and he was describing the state of I-40 from North Carolina to the Tennessee border there. I want to show our viewers a photo right now, and you can see a chunk has really just been taken out of that thoroughway and gone into the Pigeon River there, the Pigeon Forge River. I don't know if you can speak to this, but what are the plans, given this is a federal road, to make people be able to still get through this area, given what we see?
Yeah, so I've been in touch with Governor Cooper. The North Carolina DOT is going to be in the lead on the reconstruction, but we are on the ground with them, providing technical support and critically providing funding. North Carolina has let us know to expect a request for emergency relief. That is the procedure that unlocks the dollars, and we're going to be ready to turn that around in a matter of hours as soon as it arrives. In some cases, there may be temporary fixes. We saw this with I-95 when a bridge was destroyed by a tanker truck fire. That got trucks and cars going in a matter of days, even though it took months to have the complete, final, full repair done. I think in many places that may be what's needed here too, but it's just too soon for all of the assessments of the damage even to be complete, the inspections, as well as the solutions.
You know, I'm glad you brought up I-95 because I was thinking about that too. Is that a fix? How do you assess whether something like that could be replicated with some of these situations that we're seeing in North Carolina?
Well, the timeline, of course, has to be dictated by safety. The most important thing is to make sure that any solution, temporary or permanent, is going to be safe and reliable for communities who have been through so much. But I have seen extraordinary creativity and resilience already displayed by North Carolina's DOT and so many of those dealing with this. And any creative solution we'll be ready to partner with them on, even if it's something that just helps get things moving provisionally to where they need to be, while we draw up plans for the longer-term, permanent, resilient fix. And you know, one thing President Biden emphasized when we were briefing him yesterday is let's make sure when we build back, we do it wiser and in a more resilient way than what we inherited, because unfortunately, though I hope there will never be something like this visited upon the people of North Carolina again, we do know that America will be getting more and more of these extreme weather events.
This is going to take so much funding, hundreds of millions of dollars likely to combat some of these issues. I wonder if you can speak to whether you think lawmakers might need to return to Washington even before the election to get some of this federal aid down quickly.
Well, I can only speak for the transportation side of things, but I'll tell you, based on the rough math we are seeing, it is already clear to me that there is no way that we can fund these needs with the reserves that are currently in our emergency relief account. We had about $3 billion of anticipated needs around the country even before this storm hit, and we can already tell that the transportation damage here will be in the billions. So official estimates still coming together, but we just can't address this without some help from Congress. And I hope that help will be bipartisan and that it will be swift.
Secretary, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I'm just curious. We have seen severe flooding in western North Carolina before, but typically when you think about hurricanes, you typically think about the coast. And I wonder, given how much of an impact we saw inland from this situation, this storm, if this is a bit of a wake-up call for inland communities and how, as local, state, and federal agencies, we respond to these types of situations.
Part of what this storm delivered are levels of rainfall that were not even considered in the normal realm of possibility unless you lived on a coast. And yet we see indications that more of this kind of extreme rainfall can happen. Often when it does, it's happening to communities that are not used to preparing the way coastal communities are with their frequent hurricane experience. And I think it is a reminder that when we talk about making our infrastructure more resilient, adding evacuation routes, finding more durable forms of construction, really for talking about making things that'll last for the next 50 or 100 years. We're doing it in a different reality than the reality that prevailed 50 or 100 years ago when some of these interstates and bridges were built.
Secretary, before I let you go, I just want to get your thoughts on the latest regarding this port worker strike. How worried are you about the impact this could have on consumer prices? And I know that the DOT is also concerned about surcharges from ocean carriers as well.
That's right. I've called on the ocean carriers not to take advantage of this situation with surcharges. Often what we found is when there is a supply chain crunch, consumers feel a lot of pain, but these ocean carriers, most of which are owned overseas, actually come out better off. And that's a real concern that we have. Some of the years when, in recent years, as we've recovered from COVID, we saw unbelievable levels of profitability at these ocean carriers. Now, of course, they have a business to run. We're not saying that they shouldn't have a functional business, but there has to be, first of all, an understanding that there can't be price gouging here. And also, they need to share those profits with their workers. We've come to this point because the companies and the workers could not reach a deal. The workers are trying to get dealt in on some of those extreme profits. By one measure, I saw that the profitability of these ocean carriers has gone up 350% over a period of time where there's been nothing like that on the wage side. Very much hoping and urging that the parties come to the table, work out a deal, and get those ports back up and running.
And this strike very significant given the Port of Wilmington in North Carolina, which employs a lot of people as well. Secretary Pete Buttigieg of the Department of Transportation, thank you, sir, for your time, and please keep us updated on the latest involving Helene.
Will do. Thanks very much for having me on.
Thanks again. We have to take one more break. Our Loretta Beniti got a first-hand look at the devastation in western North Carolina earlier this week on a tour with some top state lawmakers. Coming up, she gives us a look at the day and how lawmakers are responding. Stay with us. Spectrum News, Capital Tonight. We'll be right back.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your community, click the subscribe button here. You can also download the Spectrum News app or watch us on TV for the latest information, balanced coverage, weather updates every 10 minutes, and more. We'll see you then.